different from what you would want against, like in the mirror, that I can't imagine they'll actually go that way. But maybe as the weeks progress, we might see something like that where the lists are very similar and it might be sort of a mind games thing.
Okay, well, looking forward to seeing if that pans out the way it is. But here we go. Alutemu versus tom60229, Rogue Mirror. Alutemu getting off with this deckhand on 1. And, you know, what does this achieve? Because I feel like as a viewer, you know, someone who follows the scene, and, you know, interesting how you play decks, there's a lot of discussion always over when, how, and why you deckhand on 1. But what's this achieving for Alutemu here?
So deckhand on 1 in the mirror going first means that your opponent can't deal with it on turn 1 unless they have like a backstab. It's very rare they're going to coin out a dagger. They'd rather just coin out a miscreant on turn 3 or like coin out a raiding party if they choose to do that. Which means the deckhand translates into 4 damage minimum. And if your opponent does have coin miscreant, it could be even more because the deckhand sticks around. Alutemu already had preparation raiding party miscreant, so it looks like a pretty powerful turn 3, so he doesn't think that he needs the deckhand to activate anything, which means just go, try to push for damage, and then get that early chip in.
Okay, well, we did see the backstab, and just in the meantime, while you're giving that excellent breakdown of deckhand on 1, Tom actually just already, you know, went for the miscreant, and then instantly shadow stepped and say, well, my turn 3 looks pretty sweet too. Whereas Alutemu's turn doesn't look so shabby either. Answering with his own miscreant, but a prep raiding party as the backup. Wow.
Yeah, pretty powerful.
This game's spicy. Damn.
A lot of evil recruits going to be going on in this game. Lackeys of all kind.
Yeah, and funnily enough, it's not always clear which pulls are the best, because Discover a Spell is generally feels the best in every situation, say. But now, like, is Tom being able to go wide with the Faceless Lackey that summons a 2-drop? Is that actually going to end up being more valuable? Because Alutemu and Rogue in general right now doesn't really have a good way to deal with a wide board.
Oh, wow.
And it's if you knew there was a knife juggler in there, then yes, the Faceless Lackey is pretty good. And he can do it again. 2 more juggles. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, none of these players are running fan of knives. Going wide is a very real way of getting ahead on board, and Tom recognizes that.
If only he had a shadow step for the bunny.
Of course. Or a scheme.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so Alutemu now has to very quickly decide how he wants this game to go, because when you lose board this wide, yes, it's only 1-1s, but still it's a problem. I feel like you have to make a decision as to whether you go, right, I'm going to play hyper-aggressive and try and kill him, or I'm going to try and, or I think I can actually battle back for board. We are very much in the early game right now, but how easy do you think it is for Alutemu to actually, you know, fight for this board still?
Well, with the minions that Tom got off of the Faceless Summoners, the Juggler does, you know, launch some knives, but it's not that much of a threat in itself. I mean, Tom knows that Alutemu had a Waggle Pick in hand because he went prep raiding party the turn before. So, I mean, without a Dread Corsair, it's difficult to get more stuff on board, which is why I think Alutemu is going to stray away from the Waggle Pick and try something else. But, I mean, with the lackeys available, it is pretty easy to swing back the board based on the minions that Tom got off of the Faceless Summoners.
Yeah, deal 2 from hand with another deal 2 from hand with the 1-1 and the SI7 agent, and that means that, as you said, like, suddenly this board has been fought back for and won.
Yeah.
Oh, but now next question. Tom has Waggle Pick and a green skin available in hand. But is he ever going to play around weapon removal in any way?
Waggle Picks without Dread Corsairs can be a little scary because by itself it's not the craziest amount of tempo. And we can see that from Tom's side. It's similarly to how Alutemu decided not to Waggle Pick. Oh my goodness.
Twice in a day.
Yeah. Tom decided not to go. He forewent the Waggle Pick option to try and clean up the board, and again try to swing it in his favor.
Right. So Hero Power and the deckhand will kill off the Miscreant, which seems like a lot of committing a reasonable amount of resources, but if it's shadow stepped and create more lackeys, then it could just be more of a problem going forward. But it looks like Tom actually might just push some more damage and say, you can have your 1-3 if you shadow step it, fine. But if you don't, it's still just a 1-3. So Tom taking a more aggressive line here. And now Alutemu has to decide what he wants to do, because there's a 5-2 staring at him in the face.
think this is a good start to the turn. Discover something. Maybe a backstab. Ooh, Contract's a bit heavy. You do have preparation, but I don't know if that's the way you want to be dealing with the Portal Keeper. If that's what it's called.
This might seem a little bit of overkill, but it gets the job done and doesn't do 5 to your face in the meantime, so...
He may choose to even go deckhand, save the Abyss for damage later.
Good.
Means the rest of your turn is kind of awkward with mana spend, because if you go deckhand, there's not a whole lot you want to Abyss this turn. And you don't necessarily want to just Bloodseal Corsair, you know, just regular.
Because, yeah. If there was a deadly poison on it or something, maybe, but...
Probably just going to redagger and leave it at that for now.
Yeah, why not? Don't need to go too crazy, I don't think. Keep hold of the Eviscerate anyway. It's good for some removal later, and there's a Bloodseal Corsair of Tom's, so it does have a little bit of a weapon removal as well, mainly for that first swing of the Waggle Pick.
Just Captain Greenskin coming out from Tom. Doesn't feel a need to throw out the Waggle Pick first, just fighting for board, what's important.
Yeah, I think spreading your weapon buffs is just very good when you know your opponent runs multiple weapon hate. Because, yeah, you know, this dagger did a job, it removed a minion, it's now going to get sniped by the Corsair, but then you just equip Waggle Pick, and then you're like, okay, well, what are you doing now? Looking for Alutemu, keeping hold of that Eviscerate, has lined up pretty well into this greenskin.
So Tom knows Alutemu's only running the Bloodseal Corsair for weapon removal. So he shouldn't be scared of this Waggle Pick coming down, but now with a Miscreant Draw, he might change that up. He doesn't have a way to... I guess he's good Lackey hero power to kill off the SI7 agent.
Yeah, it seems too bad to me. The Miscreant comes down first in case you get something else that changes your plan. For example, the plus attack and rush, you might just do that on the 1-1, save yourself 3 damage.
I mean, these players are both relatively healthy, but 24 health can become 0 really quickly in Rogue Mirrors.
Oh yeah, it's that one turn where you won board last turn and then they didn't get it back the turn after is when you just kill them. Necroom Valor, Cannon Barrage, and Sinister Strike.
Not a whole lot of pirates, and Cannon Barrage is kind of expensive. I'm expecting to see Sinister Strike here, but perhaps he...
I think Cannon Barrage might not be too bad, mainly just because he has Corsair in hand. It could be 6 mana deal 3 twice, might just be good enough to kill some minions.
Could get better later if you pick up some of your other pirates as well.
Oh, especially when you think of Dread Corsairs, right? If you can make them cost 0, then suddenly, that is a lot of damage for one card.
Step. Could step the Lackey, could save it for the Leroy. I think Alutemu might be getting to a point where he's going to have to say Waggle Pick face, go. We have Leroy, we have Step, we have Waggle Pick. Could push a lot of damage over a couple turns. If that fails, we have Myers to fall back on too.
Yeah, reminds me very much of the Hunter mirror, where at some point someone decides they just have to go face and try and win, you know, try and race.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much more Alutemu can put on board, right?
Not really. And you don't really want to put Leroy into a minion. Really do the best job in the world. Is you can prep Myras.
This allows him to play an Edwin if he draws it, whereas if you equip the Waggle Pick, he won't be able to play the Edwin, but he'd be able to play the Dread Corsairs. He still can't play the Dread Corsairs this way.
Yeah, you can even Waggle Pick and still get the Deadly Poison on and Dread Corsairs, which is pushing a lot of damage, and you still have an Eviscerate, a Leroy, and a Shadow Step, plus the Waggle Pick Shadow Step.
Expecting all of this to be going face. Perhaps he trades the Bloodkill Corsair, just to chip off 1 damage. Depends how the damage breakpoints work. 7 gets pushed for sure, he goes down to 17. 16 if the Corsair goes face as well. Does trade off the Corsair.
Okay, bounces a Corsair, pretty good for Tom.
Could Cannon Barrage, try to...
Could. Frustrating he can't get to those 1-1s though.
Yeah, he could go Waggle Pick, but doesn't develop that much else this turn, and being at 17 is kind of scary.
What do you think about triple trade and then just play 2 thugs?
That might be the play. That's the only way you develop something substantial, and I don't think... I mean, you don't have enough damage to just get there with Waggle Pick, right?
And then you have potentially Waggle Pick and 2 4/4s next turn. They choose to go for the pick. Clean up what he can. Funnily enough, valuing a 1-mana 1/1 deal 2 over the Discover spell. Lucky. Because he could bounce it next turn, and he chose to run in the Discover. Interesting choice. I would have thought the Discover might have been worth a bit more. Maybe with Fatigue it's not, but...
Alutemu probably wants to make sure he doesn't die to any direct damage. Might be going a Life Drinker this turn. Probably dagger up. Maybe try to play a Dread Corsair. Might want to go Miscreant instead. A couple of options. I think he wants to weave in the Miscreant, so he's deciding whether or not he wants to play the Life Drinker or the Corsair. Life Drinker gives him the heal, Corsair gives him the taunt. Leroy Shadow Step for 8 mana will be 12 damage at some point. He knows Tom doesn't have Dread Corsair in hand because Tom likely would have played it this turn along with the Waggle Pick. So he's trying to figure out how to develop enough damage to make sure that the Leroy Shadow Step is enough to kill Tom.
Life Drinker just seems good to me. It's just safe, isn't it?
Yep.
Funnily enough, does he Life Drinker Shadow Step Life Drinker?
No, I can't see that. That'd put him down to 8, which means if somehow Tom clears the board, the
Leroy
Abyss would be enough.
Yeah, that's
right.
what I mean. You heal for more to safer versus Fatigue, and then you still have Leroy Abyss anyway, because you can't do it all next turn. He did go with a roundabout, a similar play of just getting extra damage out there by using the Abyss now, and the Life Drinker. But yeah, I think he could have Shadow Stepped healed for a bit more. But I guess healing for 3 and putting up a 3/3 taunt is extremely similar in most cases.
Interestingly, Tom draws one of the only cards that might let him get back into the game. Have we seen any Dread Corsairs come out from Tom this game? I don't believe we have.
I don't think so.
So if this raiding party picks up both Dread Corsairs, Tom can clean up the board. Then he can play around to sap Leroy. Can't Leroy step if there's a taunt in the way. Leroy's gonna die. So we'll see what Tom goes for. I think Tom's expecting some more damage to come out because the Life Drinker Eviscerate seems kind of weird. If you had limited damage, you want to put more on the board and then try to set the damage as lethal.
Right.
Well, the damage coming earlier, it's quite possible Alutemu is just trying to dump damage so that he can do even more damage next turn. And Tom sees this, goes for the...
Oh, you know what's kind of funny, actually?
Yeah?
I actually wonder whether Alutemu actually might have made a misstep. Was it not better to Leroy Shadow Step the previous turn? Because Life Drinker Abyss doesn't care about taunts.
Perhaps. Maybe. It depends on Tom's hand, too. So Tom would have been on 8 mana as well.
But does it? Because if Tom doesn't have taunts, you win anyway. And if he does have taunts, you would win with Life Drinker Abyss.
It depends how much damage he thinks Tom can do in one turn. I don't think Tom could have done enough to...
Bear in mind, you fill the board with 1/1s. I guess he trades them off.
Oh, you're true.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
There's only so many extra minions he can play. Oh, I'm just thinking sometimes it's good to get the minion charge damage out the way while you can. And as long as you're not instantly dead, which maybe, like you said, maybe he was afraid of dying.
We got the spell Aki.
So it's to strike.
Oh my goodness.
Can he Shadow Step us in this to strike? No is the answer. He's going again. He can get 2 damage, right?
I wonder if he wants to...
He can get deal 2. For lethal.
He could, yeah.
May as well. Oh, you got it.
Oh my goodness.
La lethal.
All right, well, Tom did find the one way that would keep him alive against what Alutemu happened to have in hand, but Alutemu finding a way to deal the last bits of damage.
And that was close, because if Alutemu couldn't do that then, he was probably just dead, because fatigue